A much needed win for the Bulls tonight. Really a game they were supposed to win given they were taking on the worst team in the East, a team that is clearly rebuilding, but when it's the Bulls, you never can be too sure on nights where you can usually expect a win. And I'll be honest, that first half, particularly the first quarter, had me a little nervous not knowing what outcome to expect. And then, of course, even when the Bulls came out strong to start the second half, I'm always a little wary with the Bulls going into the fourth quarter, but they took care of business and closed out a game that they needed to. So what's going on, everyone? You were listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. So I won't say this was a great game, per se for the Bulls, despite the win. They did still have 18 turnovers. Coby and Zach combined for 8 of those 18 alone. The shooting from the field was overall okay, although they shot actually very efficiently from 3, going 14 for 28, which has been a nice change from what we've seen in recent games as the Bulls have been pretty inconsistent shooting from behind the arc. What I like seeing from this game was that, the Bulls actually closed this out. And I know you're probably thinking, well, it's the Pistons. And yes, that's true, but I'm sure the past 2 games against the Spurs and the Nuggets, in which the Bulls blew big fourth quarter leads, that can have an impact psychologically on the players and thinking that the same thing could happen even against bad teams. And even though the Pistons made a very slight run to start the fourth quarter, the Bulls didn't falter in their overall confidence, and they played smart basketball on the offensive end, moving the ball well and playing team basketball. And what was great to see was the fact that we didn't need to rely as much on Zach Lavine on offense. Only 18 points tonight for Zach, which is still good, but in Zach Lavine, we usually see him score a lot more than that. He struggled to find his shot. He went 6 for 16 for the night, but you had other guys like Markkanen, Patrick Williams, even Ryan Arcidiacono, Gafford, and Valentine off the bench that stepped up tonight. The Bulls rebounded the ball incredibly well, snagging 52 rebounds in total for the game, which again, rebounding has been one of the Bulls' biggest issues this season, especially getting offensive rebounds for second chance opportunities. It's part of the reason why Andre Drummond is in so many Bulls rumors before the trade deadline. Markkanen had a much better game tonight in terms of grabbing boards. He finished the game with 16 points and 8 rebounds. Didn't shoot the ball that well tonight, going 6 for 15 from the floor, but it was good to see him be more aggressive in the paint. Patrick Williams, 10 points and 7 rebounds for him. He was perfect from the field tonight, actually, going 5 for 5 in the 34 minutes that he played. Thagic, just another day for him at the office. Only 8 points, but he had 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. Again, the guy just does all of the little things on both ends of the floor that are so critical for this team. I know a lot of Bulls fans, are of the opinion that we should truly consider trading him. But I do think it'll be worth having Thaddeus around, especially if the Bulls can make the playoffs, which is overall very valuable for the young core to gain that kind of playoff experience, even if it means, that Thaddeus Young is not part of the Bulls' long-term plans, which I don't believe that he would be. Now, of course, it all depends on what they could get in return for Thaddeus. I heard someone say that we should try to trade Jackson Hayes or another young player equivalent and a first-round pick for Thaddeus. I mean, yeah, that's a no-brainer, but when it comes to saying, we should trade Thad for a second-round pick, no, that's not worth it at all. He's much more valuable than just a second round pick, even at his age. I would even say, even for a first round pick, that's questionable, because most teams that would be wanting to trade or considering a trade for Thaddeus are likely going to be contenders, which means their first round picks are going to be late first rounders, which, yes, they can be potentially a great pick. They can net you a very solid player in the long term, but it could also net you someone like Chandler Hutchinson, a late first rounder who the Bulls traded for Nikola Mirotic. Anyway, Satoransky, he had himself a nice game, making a case for why he should likely continue staying the Bulls starting point guard for the rest of the season. He's not a better player than Coby White overall, but his playmaking ability, his ability to run an offense effectively, is why having him in the starting role is so valuable. He had a season high 9 assists tonight, 8 points, 3 steals. He was plus 17 on the night, second highest among all players for the night, right behind Lauri Markkanen, who was actually plus 20. Off the bench, like I mentioned, Gafford, my boy Daniel Gafford, had himself finally a nice game, came out aggressive, attacking on offense, and was great on the offensive boards with quick putback dunks. He had a career-high 11 rebounds tonight, 4 offensive rebounds, to go along with his 8 points, 4 for 4 from the field. Both Valentine and Ryan Arcidiacono were each 3 for 4 from 3, so it was good to see them finally knocking down those long-range shots that they've really been struggling to hit in the past couple of games anyway. Coby and Wendell, it's getting harder and harder to see them in re-entering the starting lineup. Wendell only played 14 minutes tonight, didn't have a single field goal, only 4 points and 3 rebounds. And then even Coby, you're seeing his minutes overall reduced further and further. Only 17 minutes tonight. He shot 2 for 7 from the field, scoring 7 points, 3 rebounds, and 4 assists. He actually looked a little better in terms of facilitating when he was in the game, but again, his shooting just continues to be inconsistent, something I've been talking about since the beginning of the season. Really need to see him play consistently night in and night out, rather than scoring 30 one night and then 4 points the next. Like I said, I think this will come with time as soon as he gets more experience in the league. But even when he was pushed to the reserve role, I anticipated that he would still get a decent amount of minutes, and that this was just more to kickstart the game with someone who was easily able to play make much better than he did in Satoransky. But now we're starting to see that he's seeing less and less time on the court, just because he's been very inconsistent across the board, especially on the offensive end. Anyway, overall though, guys, it was a good win, a needed win for the Bulls to close out the week. I'll have my weekly preview video of the Bulls' upcoming games for next week. As I'm sure most of you know, the NBA trade deadline is in the middle of the week, next week on the 25th, so we'll have to wait and see how things shake out for that, and if the Bulls make any moves prior to the deadline. As always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I post daily Bulls content. I mentioned in my last video that I will be doing a giveaway when the channel hits 4,000 subscribers, so be on the lookout for that announcement. Thanks again for tuning in as always, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.